Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour right here on A2DRadio.com, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Hey, man, you never know when you can have some kind of ache or some kind of pain that'll just come right the hell out of nowhere and just make your life a living miserable hell because it just won't go away. Sometimes maybe you just need a chance to relax. Well, if you go to Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal will take care of you and make sure that you are relaxed and you're feeling 100% better when you leave either one of his locations at Burlington, Princeton, or Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And you can find him and make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Remember, Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal, any aches and pains, you won't have them after you see him. And today, I'm Matt Sassuti, along with the Dark Wing, Brian Daly.
What up?
And the broken one, Mr. Povia.
What's up, fam? How you doing tonight?
Can you find Gritty? Can you? Well, we'll find out. All right, we'll find out if anyone can find Gritty this week.
Well, that's just cheating, bro, right there. But I think this might be the best spot ever, though. He's definitely just chilling.
But with that, today we are going to talk about Phase 2 of the NHL. The NHL has been talking about getting back to play. Of course, that is a long process, but they at least got out of Phase 1, and now they're into Phase 2. We will dive into what Phase 2 basically means for the NHL. And Prism 280 did give away the answer here on the comments. He found him. Congratulations, Prism.
You've won nothing.
Yeah, man. Giving mad shout-outs to us on Twitter. Appreciate the support, Prism.
Absolutely. Also, by the way, Prism, I think you need to change your Twitter handle to Chris Pronger's best friend. But with that, though.
Oh, it's in the bio. It's in the bio.
Oh, it's in the bio? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind then. Never mind. You got it covered. Okay. But with that, though, Phase 2 of the NHL we'll also be talking about Oscar Lindblom taking back to the ice, which is awesome. Ritz chiming in, what is going on? What's going on, Ritz? And he's just saying, let's talk some hockey. Ralph saying, well. Yeah, good old Ralph Delavecchio, who you can find on Wednesdays on The Fix. And he does do a little producing here and there. And, yeah. Or you can find him on GTA. That's usually where you can find him. But anyway.
Grand Theft Auto, that's badass.
Yeah, just ask Birdo.
I heard PlayStation or GTA 5 is going to be the only game released on like 4 different generations of the platforms that they're on.
Okay.
That's actually a joke, but because it's actually been on PS3, PS4, and PS4. Might as well put it on the PS5.
Sure. Why not?
Point. Might as well. Why make a new game when you can just put out the same one that you had a few years back?
I mean, I know Brodo plays it, and it's fun to play. It's better to play online.
And Ralph saying, time for the Flyers to win the cup. Yeah, it should be. But unfortunately, we got to get the playoffs started to do it. And Ritz saying, wait, how does Ralph get a shout out? Because Ralph is Ralph. He's Ralph. That's all we can say, Ritz. And Ralph said, because I'm white.
His name is Ralph.
Oh, that's great.
Any Cheech and Chong fans will get that reference.
But Ritz, you can also catch him on In This Very Ring on Saturday, and you can also see him on Lazy Booking from time to time on Thursdays. And I will be joining Ritz this Saturday, so that should be fun. But
yeah, you got to get your wrestling talk in, right?
I do.
You haven't been on Lazy Booking because you've been doing an awesome Bill Alfonso special.
Well, because unfortunately technology is holding us back, unfortunately. But you know what? Hey, at least we can pull it off. That's the important thing.
That is the important part.
And Frank chiming in saying, hey, yo, I'm ready for some hockey. You know what I will laugh at if Ottawa misses out on both the first and second overall picks in the lottery.
Fingers crossed. The last thing they need is Alexei Lafreniere and Quentin Byfield.
They have 2 picks in the top 10, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good old Ottawa knows what it's doing. Tank it up. and hopefully getting themselves a real all-star caliber team before you know it. Although Eugene Melnick's the owner, so we'll see how long that lasts. But anyway,
wait, the lottery's coming up tomorrow, isn't it?
it is. It is.
The draft lottery's tomorrow. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
We'll find out if we get a top 5 pick, which I believe we definitely should be getting.
Hopefully. Prism 2A is saying, what underdogs are the best value betting wise, Arizona or Edmonton?
Definitely Edmonton.
Yeah, I would say that Arizona, they were fine until they completely fell apart, and it didn't take long, unfortunately. But yeah, I would roll with Edmonton.
Vancouver could be another one there in terms of an underdog value betting wise. Unfortunately, we just heard about 2 hours ago that they won't be having home ice advantage as Vancouver was just ruled out as a hub city.
Oh, they're definitely been ruled out. I know they're not the front runners now.
Yeah, absolutely.
They went from front runner to out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? I heard they weren't the front runner, but I heard they were still in the running.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, they slipped because of disagreements in terms of keeping safety for the players, safety protocols. There was a disagreement between the league and the city. They needed certain situations there to be present, and they didn't want to agree to it, so they were out.
Oh, come on. You got to make it as safe as possible for these players.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. That actually blends in nice and well to our poll question. Poll question, which is brought to you by who, Brian?
Philly Drinkers LLC. Get all your A2D merch there. Hats, T-shirts, show T-shirts. Sport your favorite show. Hoodies, zip-up hoodies, whatever you can think of, we have at PhillyDrinkersLLC.com. Tumblers, board shorts, it's all there. Philly Drinkers LLC, PhillyDrinkers.com, baby. Get all your A2D merch there. Oh, yep. Yeah, and the quarterback, the QB Factory T-shirt, which I should have had today, but, a little mess up with the mailing address, unfortunately. Instead, figured I'd sport this.
Got to rock the man. He is going into the hall.
Yep.
So
number 12.
Here's the main issue for Vancouver with the player safety. It's a small one, but it's a big one. And it was the city actually wanting to have a pause in any series if a player tested positive for the coronavirus, whereas the NHL wanted to obviously just have that player removed in quarantine, but have the series continue. So basically the British the British Columbia Health Minister Andre Dix and just him. He basically said that look, these rules apply for everybody, all of our citizens in British Columbia. So it was a stalemate, and they just said okay, so Vancouver's not going to happen. What cities do you guys feel would now get a leg up from Vancouver being out?
Vegas will definitely get one for sure. I think that's one of the places they definitely want to be because, they just put a franchise there. They want to try and get as much publicity there as possible. And then I think the other one would probably wind up being, honestly, I think the other one's going to wind up being Toronto.
Has to be to have one on the East Coast for, TV time.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah. With that, too, the poll question was, we will see the hub cities announced very soon. Agree or disagree? We'll see.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to find out what the hub cities are going to be until after training camp starts on July 10th. Okay. So, I know July 10th is only like a week and a half, 2 weeks away, but, they're down to the final 6. They're still going through 6 cities to figure this out. So I think they're going to bring it down to the final 4 by training camp. I don't think they're going to announce where they're going to be until at least, I would say, a week before the playoffs get underway on July 30th.
Cool. All right, then. That would make sense. It would. For me, personally, I think they'll probably announce them with training camp, like officially, kind of like what you were saying, Bri, but like right when training camp gets going, I would say they'll probably be announced either right before, like literally like a day before, or it'll be like the same day that training camp gets going, we'll officially have our hub cities selected and announced.
Well, the reason why I think they're going to wait is because, and we're seeing a lot of this happen now, and appreciate it, Damien, our brother from down under. You're seeing a lot of spikes in a lot of different areas, and I think that's going to put a little bit of a damper on a lot of things because you're starting to see players come out and saying, I don't exactly feel safe going back to playing. So I think the reason why they're going to wait is going to see what happens with these spikes, see how quickly the numbers decline, and then that's when you're going to hear the announcements of where each conference is going to wind up playing.
That's totally right, because I mean, with Vegas, we talked about that being, a wildly popular front runner here because of their hotel infrastructure and what was, to your point, Brian, a low key Nevada. But just 3 days ago, they had a record high 462 cases in one day. So now that puts that into doubt too. So I was right with you boys in terms of, well, I assume, Maddie, are you saying are you agreeing with the poll? You're disagreeing that it'll be at the point that the training camps get started?
I would say that it would happen either right before training camp's going to get started, or it's going to be the day of training camp getting started. But I would say right before it, like maybe a week before training camp.
So you're disagreeing as well?
I would say disagree only because I also think that because of the recent spikes, I think the NHL is trying to be extremely patient right now in choosing, because of the fact that we've had these spikes in recent weeks, and they don't want to be they don't want a whole lot of whatever happening. They don't want players getting infected.
Well, that's what the shame is about Vancouver, because in a 3-day span, I say only have 32 new cases, which basically a total, or equated to a total of 236 that were found in Edmonton as well. So, Vancouver being out of the running, it's a head scratcher because of that advantageous, of that area being a low case count. But it's you also can't take 3 months for these playoffs to go either and be pausing series. So people can agree or disagree on that point alone. But to the poll, I was set to agree with you guys and disagree to the poll. But Bettman said that in 3 to 4 weeks' time, when he announced phase one, right, that when he announced phase one, that in that 3 or 4 week time, he said the hub cities would be selected. It would need to be selected until, for phase three, which is the start of training camps, to commence. So I think this has to get settled sooner or later if we're going to get these playoffs off. So I'm going to agree with the poll that we will see him selected, and maybe Bettman keeps his word.
I mean,
that's a big if.
I think he would if he could, but also, like to my point earlier, it's tough because you're starting to see spikes in certain areas now, and there's a lot of northeastern states that are in decline, including ours. Numbers are going down, but there's a lot of other places like in the Midwest that are either staying steady or they're increasing. Florida increasing exponentially because people in Florida are dumb. Well, I shouldn't say the people. The people running the state down there are dumb, but that's neither here nor there. But
Florida Man is dumb. Have you read about Florida Man? Just all the shit that he does on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Florida Man is. Brody, you want to bring back up Ralphie's question? Ralphie wants to know, are they going to play East teams stay on the East and West go on the West? I think they do, Ralphie, for what Rob said earlier is time constraints, making sure the Eastern teams play at their 7:30 time slots, and the West get their 9:30, 10, 10:30 time slots as well.
That's the goal, because now the 5 remaining teams in contention, Xing out Vancouver, is Toronto and Edmonton in Canada, and the 3 cities are Chicago, Los Angeles, which are really down on the spectrum. We talked about that last show, and Vegas. So if Vegas, due to the spike in COVID-19 positive testing results, I mean, they might be forced to Edmonton and Toronto.
Maybe.
Yeah. Even Prism says Texas is starting to blow up too. So, like I
Yeah.
said, you're seeing all these cases come back up, but you also got to remember we have more tests now than we did before.
Right.
And because of that, we're going to see the spikes going up. Not necessarily because of stupidity, but because the more tests we have, the more people are going to get tested. So,
Jake Friel saying, "What's up, boys? I agree to the poll. I think within the next week we'll hear which hub city will be selected."
what's up, Jake?
Yeah. What is up, Jake? And while we round back real quick to some of the other comments we saw before, back to Prism. He did have a question up there a few moments ago that we didn't get a chance to answer. No, not that one. There was a little... Yeah, here we go. Prism 2A saying, what does it say about the NHL not wanting Toronto as a hub city because of the strict COVID restrictions they have in place? What message does that send to NHL players?
Meant Vancouver, yeah.
And he meant Vancouver, okay.
Yeah. I read that too. Yeah. What message does that send to the players? Geez, I mean, well, first of all, if any of them weren't taking shit seriously, they are now.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing what he's doing up there, but at the same time, everybody's worried about getting sick, especially some of these players with families, young kids. They don't want to bring it back. They don't want to spread it. They don't want to be, everybody just wants to be as safe as possible right now. And I don't blame them. It's safety first. And then we can, like I'm dying right now. I need the live sports, baseball, basketball, hockey, football. I don't care what it is. I need something back. But at the same time, we need to be safe.
You can watch the marble races. You can watch marble racing.
I'm good.
You sure?
I'd rather get smacked in NHL 8-5 than watch marble races. Sorry, I got smacked 8-4.
Gives phenomenal odds. Phenomenal.
Prism 280 saying Texas just announced an executive order to mask everywhere by law in all stores, which kind of the same thing that we have here.
Right. It should already be that way. If you want to be in anywhere right now, yeah. You know what? All right, so I've seen this meme a few times, and it brings a lot of truth. So if you're wearing a mask right now, they say it helps prevent spreading the disease, getting somebody sick, possibly killing somebody. But if it doesn't, you're just inconvenienced in wearing a piece of cloth over your face for right now. Is it really that big of a deal? Just wear the mask. Keep doing what you do. Just wear the mask. Be safe.
Yeah.
Just be safe. That's
people
all.
People just don't like being told what to do.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
And then you have the conspiracy theorists and everything like that, and they cause a whole stir all the time. And that's just like, that doesn't help the situation at all, because they're the ones who like to get very vocal, especially on social media, because they got nothing better to do. So,
I mean, I'll be honest. I hate wearing a mask. I have to wear the mask at work. I have to wear it everywhere I go outside of my house. I hate it, but I do it because it's the right thing. It's not necessarily that I like it. It's the fact that I appreciate other people's safety, and I respect people enough to wear the mask and not be the guy who could potentially be a carrier and continue to help spreading. We want this to go away. It's not going to go away overnight. We're not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, COVID's gone.
Yeah.
That's not the situation. It's going to be around for a while. So
yeah, it is. Andy saying there are going to be spikes. More and more people have gotten tested. Obviously, more and more people are going to test positive. Yes, definitely. Absolutely. And also,
what's fortunate, though, before you continue your point, Maddie, is a lot of the tests that I've been reading about and hearing about, they're not serious cases. So, that's good.
That's a good
silver
thing.
lining in a bad situation.
That is a good silver lining there. And also, keep in mind, too, in terms of the testing and everything like that and people being sick, there are asymptomatic people who have gotten the virus and they don't realize they have it, which is another incentive to please wear your mask, because you could be asymptomatic and you could spread the virus and you don't realize you have it. It's possible.
All right.
But
back to
anyway,
hockey.
so to phase two, basically what is phase two of the NHL? Simply this. It is a very limited workouts. And the facilities are open, but it is very, very restricted. And it is all voluntary. Completely voluntary. The NHL has made that very poignantly clear. And Greg's saying, my guys, what's up, fellas? Iginla talk. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be talking about them in the Hall of Fame.
There you go,
And yeah, and Ralph saying we need hockey. Yeah, believe
Ralphie.
me.
We need all sports.
And Andy saying, no, Prism, I love you, but there is not a law to be in all stores. It is only certain counties. Like Harris County is requiring private businesses to wear a mask. However, Montgomery County, there's Montgomery County in Texas, interesting, is not requiring people to wear masks in stores. It is county by county. Governor Abbott said yesterday, if you don't need to go out, stay home. He never said that everyone has to wear a mask. Certain counties have taken different measures, some more extreme than the other. Okay, then. Is it weird to say my mind was just blown by the Montgomery County thing?
We had you at Montgomery.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of Philadelphias in the world, so.
That is true. I was stunned by that. But anyway.
There's one in Florida and one in Indiana. Off the top
I
of my
think there's one in Mississippi, too. But anyway.
Probably Mississippi, too. Yeah. Anyway, continue on. Phase two.
Yes. So phase two wise, basically, like we said, it is all voluntary. NHL has made that very poignantly clear. This is all voluntary. No one is being told by the teams they have to go to practice. No. And it's not. It's really just a workout, if anything. It's not even a full team practice. That's phase three when we get to training camp. That's when you get the practices. But for now, it is all completely voluntary. So. And Frank's saying it's automatic, asymptomatic, hydromatic, it's greased lightning, and it's pulled up to the testing site, of course. Oh. Of course. Leave it to Frank to make that comment in there.
We love Frank, though.
Yeah. you can buy you can also find Frank on the fix, by the way. So if you love Ralph and you love Frank, you can get your fix on the fix. So there you go.
Or, as it's been the last few weeks, the fix in the PM.
That's true. Has been that, too. All right, though. So, that's phase two, basically, in the NHL. Guys, do you think that this goes on for a little bit longer, or do you think that, like you said, we're going to, with your opinion on the hub cities, do you think this phase two lasts a little while longer, or do you think they stay to those dates that they've been announcing for phase three?
I think at this point they have to stay to those dates because, these dates are set in stone as far as I'm concerned right now. July 10th is the start of training camp. If you want to start in July and you want to be done and have the next season start in January, you have to be done by, September. So the players can get some time off. You get the draft and you get free agency in. They got to stick to the dates. Now, granted, the only thing that I think would really throw everything off is if a bunch of other players on the organizations that are going to be participating in these playoffs test positive. Then I think you start to really see maybe they shift the schedule a little bit. But as of right now, no. I think the dates are pretty much set right now. So July 10th, I'm expecting training camps to start.
Yeah, agreed, man. I mean, obviously, as they start issuing protocol, and with the advanced testing, as you alluded to earlier, Brian, you're going to get some positive results from asymptomatic people that don't realize that they have it. But in terms of meeting that July 10th, yeah, I think they will, and that's why I think these hub cities need to be selected sooner than later, because they're going to reach that point. Assuming that all these training camps going on in each individual team city, that it's not like a countrywide lockdown like we had back in March and April again. I mean, if that happens, then it's time to be like, all right, we'll move to next season because this just isn't doable. But excluding that possibility, please, Lord, they will reach that because the leeway now is in phase three. In terms of training camps and the length of overall for phase three, that's to be determined. That has been announced yet. The start date of phase 4, which will include the return of play with clubs facing off in the 2 undetermined hub cities, is also yet to be known. So that's where they could have the leeway there. I think they'll hold true to July 10th.
Yeah, especially with, like I said, the announcement of July 30th being the first day of the playoffs. You can't really push anything back, because if you push that back, you push the starting date back and you push everything else back as well. And if you have the goal of starting on July 1st, you got to stay on course. Because to Rob's point, unless there's like a huge spike in every state and they have to lock down again, I think that's the only way we see dates move.
Gotcha. All right, then. So let's take a look at Frank's comment here. He said, hey, now, the car went to the testing site. Oh, God. He's going to keep going with this, isn't he?
Yes, he
All
is.
right.
We got to put a character limit on these fucking comments, yo. Seriously, my eyes are tired right now.
Strictly Frank, though. Just Frank. Nobody else. But, maybe Greg now, too. But anyway, let's take a look. Let's see. What was Greg's comment there? Saying, as I said on a post earlier, the leagues wouldn't be moving towards reopening with plans and hard dates if they were nervous of a few positive tests. They expected this and are banking on these players being in great physical shape and being able to beat it quickly. And he did have a comment before about Oscar, saying that, by the way, love seeing Oscar back skating. Some good news amid a shitstorm of daily bad news, and we might as well talk about that. The one and only Oscar Lindblom getting back onto the ice. Hopefully this is the first of many baby steps towards him eventually one day, hopefully, wearing the orange and black and playing hockey, once again scoring a whole bunch of goals and getting a whole bunch of assists for the orange and black.
I need to put this point out there immediately, because I know there's some people out there that are thinking bigger. He's not cleared to play.
No.
He's not cleared to practice. What he's doing right now is amid phase 2. So he can be out there with the team, but he is not cleared to participate in team practices. He's not cleared to participate in games. He's not participating in the tournament. He's skating around to skate around because he's feeling good. It's a great sign to see. It's a great sign of bigger things to come for him. He's not even done his chemo testing yet.
Yeah.
So, let's pump the brakes real quick. Let's take it for what it is a beautiful moment for the kid who's battling hard, and you can tell. And it's like I said, great moment, awesome moment. But let's just pump the brakes. Let the kid finish his chemo treatment. Let him get cleared. He should be hopefully ready to go by, I would say, the midpoint next season.
Yeah, that's a good estimate, because there were a lot of people with that gas pedal straight down to the floorboard on that, like, let's go, he'll help us to the playoffs. I'm like, no. The body's got to come back. I mean, he's not even done with the treatment fully yet. It was just good to see him out on the ice, but I think, to counteract that point, though, it was just so hard. The whole league has surrounded and backed Guy in his fight against Ewing sarcoma, and Twitter just went up. Just the joy of like the first post I saw from Flyers Twitter was the greatest tweet you'll see all day, and that was the best. That was perfect. That was it was just happy to see him out there. And Chuck Fletcher came out and I think gave a great reassuring quote for me that I want to read off to you guys in terms of how the team's going to handle Oscar and the fact that he was out there on the ice. He goes, and I quote, "It was great to see him out there. He looked really good on the ice. His hands are still there. It is remarkable to think that with all the treatments that he has had, he was able to go out there today and still show the skill and still have the stamina to skate for about 35 to 40 minutes. It's a great sign for him. It's very exciting to think that with all going well in the future, he's going to return to play for us. Obviously, phase 2 of his return, not the NHL, is voluntary. Or no. He talks about phase 2 in general being a voluntary thing, and it gave him the opportunity to be out there on the ice. And every player and staff member must follow the very strict guidelines and rules. Our practice facility is a very safe environment, safer than most places. So that was important to really discern there, because his immune system is obviously at a low point right now as he's finishing up treatment.
Yeah, and I like I said, I agree. It was a beautiful moment. It's a heartwarming moment. It was a great moment. It was one of those moments that made my day earlier in the day when I saw that, and I smiled and I was like, all right, this kid, he's taking the steps in the right direction. But yeah, he's not anywhere close to playing anytime soon.
Yeah, but you know what? Hey, it's positive, and that's the important thing. It's positive. And who knows? Maybe next year, year after that, we'll see.
You guys want to listen to his quote real quick?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think we might as well do that. Mr. Brodo, fire it away.
That's the only thing I'm waiting for right now is be done with my team and get back with the team and play some hockey. That will be unreal to get back to real life again and have fun.
Great quote.
Yeah, I can't. It just the positivity that this kid has and how strong he's been through this whole process is, it's something amazing, especially considering a couple of weeks after he was diagnosed, an 18-year-old goalie, I believe he played in Europe, had just died from this disease. And he's fighting strong. He's got the entire league. He's got the entire brotherhood of the fan bases behind him. It's this kid, he's doing amazing things right now, battling and staying strong and staying positive. So, I'm very quickly becoming a very big fan of his.
Absolutely. The whole NHL has become a fan of him. And Prism 280 saying, I shared that as soon as I seen it. Hashtag Oscar Strong. Absolutely. And with that, Greg saying, come on, Brian, you ain't going to mess-plain or hockey-splain.
Mansplain.
Oh, mansplain.
Mansplain.
Or, okay. Or even hockey-splain everything for me. I know the context. Okay.
Well, it's not necessarily for you. It could be for somebody else. Just saying, Greg. Miss you, buddy.
Oh, all right. So, Frank saying, I love Greece. Greece is the word. Uh-huh. Yeah. I'm sure you do, Frank.
Can we block Frank for the rest of the show?
Little too much.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I loved Olivia Newton-John in that movie. She looked great. She's the only reason why I watched it.
I just said that because there's been like 3 or 4 comments revolving around it. That's all. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, classic cinema.
Prism 280 saying, should the NHL do a player opt-in or out situation like the NBA?
100%. You should not have to play if you don't want to play.
Here's the thing, too, and keep this in mind. This is one thing that's actually flown under the radar is the NHL has to talk about an extension of their CBA as well. So with that being said, that probably will be one of the sticking points. If you want to have an extension of the current one, which I think would be the right thing to do, you can't really negotiate in the environment you're in right now when you're just trying to get the playoffs off. So I think the best thing would be like extend the current CBA, but have that clause in there for this particular season of the opt-in, opt-out. So that way you get that out of the way and then you kick that can down the road and deal with that nasty business when everything's back to normal.
Sure.
It's a good question. I don't know, because you're gonna have that's gonna make the difference for a lot of teams. So the best example I can give you is what I saw earlier today, and Carey Price saying that he wasn't comfortable playing in this situation, and I get it. But the problem is, if he doesn't play for Montreal, I don't think they really have much. Not that they really have a huge chance getting out of the first round, but they have a better shot with Carey Price. And if he doesn't play, that's going to be a huge difference maker in that series. That could go from being a 6-game series to being a sweep easy without having Carey Price in that net.
And Prism 2A saying, what are the thoughts on Carey Price potentially missing the playoffs? Does this make it easier for the franchise to let him go to Seattle when they come in and clear $10 million cap space? No, he's not going to go to Seattle. They're going to protect him.
I think so for right now. I don't think they have another prospect in the pipeline yet. I'm not even sure what his contract looks like right now as far as length goes. I honestly haven't looked at a lot of that stuff in a while because of not really having much going on. But it's just it's tough to see. He's a franchise guy there, and unless you have somebody else that's ready to take his place, Montreal isn't exactly far off from being a competitor.
Right.
But I don't see Carey Price going anywhere yet. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
I agree. I agree with you, Brian. Because there is no one to be an heir apparent. I mean, we did talk about during our, as we profiled this year's draft prospects, that Yaroslav Askarov, is being wooed by the Canadians and considered to be their first round selection. Who, has been described as the greatest goaltending prospect to come around since Carey Price, but yet he'll still be years removed from being NHL ready. So I don't think, even if that were to happen, I think you still have to protect Price.
Berto, can you look up Carey Price's contract for me real quick so we can try and do a little math, which is usually my enemy, but it usually works in my favor on the sports side. So if Carey Price has about 3 years left on his contract, thank you, Berto. If Carey Price has about 3 years left on his contract, I could see them drafting a goalie in the first round. And by the time that Carey Price's contract is up, this kid should be ready to go.
Well, while Berto's looking up that contract, speaking of Seattle, do you know that they Amazon named their arena?
Yeah, it's
it's the what was it? It's the
Cambridge something arena.
No, they're changing it to like the national the something where it's like the God damn it. I had it all day and I was preparing it for the show, and now when the show begins, right out of the mind. Hold on a second. Let me see what the stupid name they came up with for the Seattle arena. Hold on.
I forget what it's called. I saw it earlier. I meant to try and remember.
Let's see here. What are they changing it? Climate Pledge Arena. There we go. That's what they're calling it. That is a dumb name. Just saying right off the bat. Dumb name. Like, I'm all for going green. There's nothing wrong with that. Taking care of what you don't want the planet to burn up. I understand that. But here's the thing. You could do all that. You don't need to call it the Climate Pledge Arena. You can do all those green initiatives and say it and sell yourself on that. But you don't. That's just a stupid name. Sorry, it's a really dumb name. Thank you, Ritz. But yes,
what arena name isn't dumb anymore? They're all corporate names. It's not like you're going to the Joe anymore. Joe Louis Arena, and they're naming arenas after players or something specific to whatever city they're in. Yeah, it goes to the highest bidder. They're all corporate names.
Dandy was saying the contract was roughly $84 million for Carey Price.
Yeah, I'm trying to get length back, but my messenger is taking forever to load.
Prism's gotcha. He says 6 years more, $10 million a year.
Damn. Oh, of course, now it loads after Prism gets.
Yeah, and his point earlier was 39 or 40 when it expired. So to shed that, I get it. But, I don't know. I mean, you make a valid point.
Well, I mean, with it being a 6-year deal now, maybe you do see him go. Maybe that would make a little bit more sense, especially if you're going to be drafting one in the first round. You just need a real Band-Aid for a couple of years.
True. I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean,
they're not going to be winning right now, so yeah.
No, they're not. I mean, they're still rebuilding. They have some good pieces in place already for Montreal, but
right.
I mean, unless they're planning on like win now mode within the next year or two, I don't see a point in keeping Carey Price, especially for the next 6 years.
I mean, it's possible, but at the same time, too, with them drafting the goaltender in the first round and everything like that, yeah, you could get the Band-Aid and try to patch the team up for the period of time if you want to do the soft reboot that they'll have to do. They won't have to do a hard reset. They're good enough to where soft reboot should get the job done for them. But when it comes down to it, though, if you want to stay competitive, quote unquote, which Montreal has been off and on with. They've had good years, bad years. They keep doing this with, you don't know whether they're going to be good or bad. All depends on price. Then you would want to keep him if you want to stay competitive in that environment, because then if you're going to go for your goaltender and do the patchwork, you might get the goalie you're looking for to bridge the gap. You may not, and then you're stuck being a bubble team at best for a period of time. But Greg's saying, Amazon made so much money in this pandemic, they can afford to name it whatever they want.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Ralph's saying,
this is true, but that name makes it sound like it's a movement, not a hockey arena. You know what I mean? I expect them to go there and have to fill out a flyer and pledge like hours of community service to clean in the environment, which I would proudly do, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I still like jobbings.com arena in Arizona.
I
think that's an even worse one too. Oh, Baji.
Hi, Baji.
Jesus, who let him in?
I don't know. Hopefully Turkmenistan's doing okay these days. Anyway.
I'm taking a $5.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so.
Wish I could run away.
So with that being said, though, with all that coming into fruition, currently right now where the NHL's at, so far, okay. I mean, there's nothing crazy going on in terms of anything bad, so that's good news. I mean, yeah, there have been some people who've tested positive. Luckily, though, it doesn't seem like there's been anything fatal. Everything's been recovering. And so right now, Phase 2 is where we're at. We should hopefully get by the date for Phase 3.
Who invited Baji?
I could tell you who probably did. It starts.
I can guarantee you who did.
The name rhymes with Brank Besby. But anyway.
Yeah, July 30th is the date. I don't think they're moving that. They can't afford to unless there's a big thing.
Yeah.
Big spike.
Absolutely. But now, on to the past. We were talking about the present. Now it's time to talk about the past. It's time to talk about the Hall of Fame, because big announcements for who's going into the Hall this year. There were several candidates that came up. A lot of interesting ones that I'm surprised were not in the Hall already. But we have our selections and choices, and now it's pretty exciting. I was stunned to find out Jeremy Roenick is not in there, but he is not, surprisingly enough. But still, who knows? Hopefully he'll get in at some point. But anyway.
Never thought he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, he might make it in, but it wasn't going to be first ballot.
I mean, I think he deserves it.
He was good. I'm not saying he wasn't good. He had a great career, but
I know he didn't win a cup, but, he still was one of the best U.S.-born players to ever play the game.
I mean, one of the guys we're going to talk about in a minute here never won a cup either. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Prism 2A saying Seattle Stadium will be the first stadium run solely on renewable energy. Yes, that is true. That is one of the many things behind it. And Zach saying, I'm a Devils fan. Do you think Patrick Elias can make it into the Hall? Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
I think Patrick Elias is a future Hall of Famer. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's talk about Hall of Fame real quick. Patrick Elias had a great career. He's won multiple cups. He was a great leader on and off the ice. He had so many clutch goals in his career. He played a little bit longer than I think he should have, which may or may not have hurt his legacy just slightly. But I absolutely think Patrick Elias finds his way to the Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hands down.
He was the rock on that offense forever. So his entire career. So his jersey's retired. So there's a reason for it.
And they did that very quickly.
Yes, immediately. Chrome saying, what's up, Phil? What's up, Chrome? By the way, if you want to, after you're done watching the show, if you did not earlier today, go back and check out the Bill Alfonso interview part 2. And Ralph's saying, if you could eat dinner with an NHL player, who would it be and why? Rob, start off.
Ooh, wow. If I could have, it have to be current or all time. Because if it's all time, it's easy. It's Johnny Leclerc without in a heartbeat. Currently, I'd have to say it'd be Kevin Hayes. He's a funny motherfucker, man.
Hazy would be a good one. Hazy would be a great one.
Oh, that's a good one.
For me, if we're gonna go all time, I'm not gonna go down the road you think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I would want to sit down and have dinner with a former guest of ours and sit down with Chris Pronger after our interview with him.
Nice.
Great. He seems like great guy, great personality. Seems like he would be a lot of fun to hang around with. Eat some steak and potatoes and just shoot the shit with him. But current players, oh gosh, maybe Cam Fowler, just to pick his brain a little bit about defense and what it's like being compared to a player like Scott Niedermayer. So,
For me, I would say it was tough for me for all time, but it's Yager. I'm going to go. It's got to be Yager. It has to be. Yager's the man. But for current players wise, I want to sit down with the captain. I want to sit down with Giroux. I want to talk to the man himself.
Well, Chrome's story about him was actually pretty awesome. So I think he would be a fun time to sit down and talk to. Especially since becoming your dad and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, Papa Klinkoff.
Hey.
All that, yeah.
Hey, Papa Klinkoff. Hadn't seen you in a while, and he's saying go Penguins, which obviously he would. He's what's up, guys? Not much, man. Just been enjoying doing the show and having a good time.
Hope you guys are staying safe over there. We miss having Mikey on the show.
Absolutely. We hope everybody's staying safe over in the Klinkoff household. Since me and Pronger get brunch together all the time. That's a good one. Zach, who do you think is better, Braden Holtby or Schneider? I would say Holtby.
I'm only going to say Holtby because Schneider seems to have some injury problems, which keeps him off the ice. He can't seem to gain any kind of consistency in the net. Holtby, at least, he stays in the net. He's had some very, very good years. He's had a couple bad years here and there, but Holtby over Schneider for sure.
Yeah, Braden Holtby all day. I mean, the talent. I mean, he does have his down. When he's cold, he gets cold. But I mean, that's goaltenders. That's the nature of the position.
Yep, he's got a cup too, so that helps.
Yeah, a little bit. little bit.
Frank's saying if I could eat with a current NHL player, I would take Brad Marchand and take him to Chuck E. Cheese because I want him to feel at home being with a rat. Wow.
Well done.
Tell us how you really feel, but well done, sir.
He'd be licking everything.
Even those gross animatronics that you see on the stage. But
that was one of my.
Just see what.
Speaking of interviews, real quick, the interview we did yesterday with Todd Harriman and Riley Cote. One of the things that came out of there was the nature of the enforcer and how it's gone from the game. And Cote said you'd never see that shit back in our day. We policed that shit real quick out of Brad Marchand. And inversely too, he chimed in about the hub cities. He was not thinking Vegas would be that based on the rate of the spike in cases, but also we talked about just like if Pittsburgh, which was one of the cities that was eliminated, would have inversely had home ice advantage during that portion of the playoffs. Well, Vegas would get home ice, if they're selected as one of their hub cities. Do you think that factors in the decision making at all, fellas?
Maybe.
I could see that possibly coming into play.
Like they want to keep it totally neutral. You know what I mean? It's where they might like pick an Edmonton or a Toronto over Vegas, for that fact, if they work out public health issues.
Well, I mean, if you look at it this way, like the teams that they have, the cities that they have selected as potential hubs are pretty much, aside from Chicago and LA, are some of the team is gonna some of these teams are gonna have home ice. Some of these teams are gonna have semi home ice because it's closer to a city where they played, or state where they're considered fandom. Like if the Wild played in Minnesota, they'd have obviously their fan base, and then North Dakota, South Dakota,
Right.
so on and so forth. So, I mean,
Yeah, true.
anyway, you look at it, there's going to be some form of home ice advantage for one of these teams.
Yeah. Good point.
All right. And
I like what Zach said, though, saying that he had respect for the Flyers.
yeah, that was cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. The Devils wise, I mean, hey, listen, dude. I know it may be tough right now. I know the season wasn't what you expected, but hey, they're still building something over there. They just had to do a regime change, and that's always tough to deal with. But you know what? If the new regime comes in and has a good head on its shoulders, which it should, you guys will probably put some pieces together and get some good things out of the draft. And before you know it, the Flyers and the Devils are going to be arch rivals in the playoffs once again. I hope not.
They gotta work on that defense. That defense is not very good.
They do. Poor Mackenzie Blackwood. Oh, every night.
And like it's funny because he's not a terrible goalie. He's had a couple good streaks for a young guy. And he's going to continue to build off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so into the Hall of Fame class we go, and we might as well not beat around the bush. We might as well talk about the headliner himself. Ladies and gentlemen, number 12, the man, the myth, the legend of the Calgary Flames, none other than Jarome Iginla. Iginla, of course, played almost his whole career with Calgary, but because he wanted to play with a team that could get him a Stanley Cup, he did eventually go to both Pittsburgh and Boston. Unfortunately, both of those did not end the way he wanted to. Both teams were not able to get to the finals the year he was on them. Eventually, he did finish off his career in Colorado before Colorado became what it is now, sadly.
You're missing a team.
Which one am I missing?
He ended his career after playing in L.A.
Oh, that's right. He did go to Los Angeles, didn't he? I forgot about LA. But then again, the NHL forgot about them too. So
yeah, 2 cups later.
Yeah, rough stop. But what are you gonna do, right? Shit happens.
Came to a screeching halt though. Like it didn't like gradually decline. It just stopped.
Yeah.
But
true.
I'm thrilled for Jarome Iginla. He was always one of my favorite non-Anaheim players. One of those guys I would always have loved to have on my team. Matt was reading off a little bit of his resume. Some of his stats as a career player. 1,554 games played. 625 goals in his career. 675 assists. 1,300 points in his career. And a plus 30. Some of his awards, he was a 4-time All-Star, which I thought would have been a lot higher. A 2-time Maurice Richard Trophy winner. Art Ross in 2001-2002. A 2003-2004 Clancy Award winner for winning the Western Conference. He won the Mark Messier Award in 2008-2009. And in 2001-2002, he won the Pearson Award. So he's got some hardware to go with his heavy statistics. He missed one, though. He missed one very important piece of hardware.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
He got the closest he ever got to it was 2004. Made it there through the Western Conference with the Flames. The Flames were super big underdogs. Mika Kiprusoff had a great year in net. That team just had a great run going. And unfortunately, Tampa snagged it from them. Used home ice advantage to their advantage, and they won their still only Stanley Cup. Sucks, but that happens sometimes. Sometimes great players don't get their hands on the cup.
Oh.
Okay, boys, let's do
Nicky Lidstrom, Chris Pronger, or Ray Bourque. You got to pick one.
What, to go to dinner with? What are we talking here?
He just said pick one. Who would you pick out of Nicky Lidstrom, Prongs, and Bourque?
I don't even know what he means by the context, but I mean,
just who you picking?
You have one defenseman on your team out of these three. Who you taking?
All right. If I'm gonna go that route, then I will say Bourque.
I'm going Nicky Lid. Great 2-way player. Great captain.
I'm the only one that's going to be loyal to Prongs then, I guess.
Hey, listen, I got love for all three of those guys.
Yeah, it's
all
a tough
three of those
question.
guys are easy top players in their positions. And
right.
If I'm building a team and I got to pick one of them, I got to take Nicky Lidstrom. You got to have that guy who can play two-way.
Well, and yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And even Ray himself, you know what I mean? And if you wanted to say who was the best defenseman on that list, definitely Raymond Bourque. But Pronger's my type of player. The strong checks into the boards, the fights, the borderline dirty play. It's just my style of hockey.
Yeah,
I got you.
I feel
There's
it.
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, especially if you can back it up, and Pronger could back it up, right?
Yeah.
And Andy Ritz chiming in saying he barely played that season. He played 19 games. How was he your favorite Anaheim player? He never played for them, or did I miss something? Wait a minute. Wait.
I think he's talking about, again, like he's my favorite non-Anaheim player. Favorite non-Anaheim player.
Oh, okay. Confused. I was confused.
You need to listen. No, stink.
Okay.
Talking about Iginla, non-Anaheim player. I wish he played for Anaheim. I would have loved it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Might have won a cup. Might have won that cup in 07.
Might have. We did win the cup in 07.
He might have. Now you're not listening.
No, I'm not. I thought you were referring to 2003.
No, I got you.
Then we would have won.
Yes, true. Heyday.
I think that was actually one of the only playoff series in NHL history that actually was pure home ice advantage. Every home team won the each home game. So Anaheim never won on the road. Devils never won on the road. Both won on home ice.
And Greg saying Nick Lidstrom, those minutes after Patrick Eaves gets the hit in the face with a puck, and Nick never left his side. That's a captain, and I'll never forget that moment. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Love Lidstrom.
Okay.
Hated that he was a Red Wing, but I love Lidstrom.
Right.
So let's take a look here at the other class that will be joining Jarome Iginla here. We have Marian Hossa, who did win a Stanley Cup, although he had a bit of controversy when he went to his first set of Stanley Cup. Yes, he did win 3. All with Chicago. Unfortunately, he did have a bit of a weird tit for tat. He was on the Penguins in 2008, left and went to Detroit, said, I want to go with a winner. Winds up on Detroit, 2009, Pittsburgh beats him. That's a perfect example of be careful what you say. Keep your words short and sweet because you might just eat them. And Marion ate them that year. That was funny.
Yeah, but he had the last laugh, winning 3 Stanley Cups.
Yeah, I can't deny that. He did wind up winning those 3 with Chicago.
You believe that he was only a one-time All-Star? He only made 1 All-Star appearance.
That's weird.
I thought that was crazy. A little bit of his resume. Drafted by Ottawa, played a couple seasons in Atlanta before getting traded to Pittsburgh, losing in that Stanley Cup final, then going to Detroit, losing in that Stanley Cup final, to finishing off his career with the Chicago Blackhawks and winning 3 Stanley Cups with that team.
Wow. Prism 2A saying, imagine a team with Madonna, Iginla, and Hull. That would be a team that would win the cup every year.
That's not fair.
Yeah, that's completely unfair.
Play be a GM shit right there.
I was about to say, dude, I think I had that on a video game, that line actually together.
I'm pretty sure that was the line I had in like NHL 98.
Yeah.
And then Andy saying, pretty sure Daly didn't say non-Anaheim and shut up, Pove. Oh, Jesus. And I listen quite well with these ears of mine. Did you replace the batteries in your hearing aid? Oh, God.
Andy, go change your tampon, dude. Serious. Always trying to start shit, dude. You fucking heat monger.
Okay, then. So we're about to hit the wall. Looks like we're coming up to an hour. So let me take a look at the rest of what we have here for the class. Next up, we got Kevin Lowe and Doug Wilson. Doug Wilson, believe it or not, it may seem surprising, but absolutely deserving. It's just because of his era that he played in. Sometimes he gets a little overshadowed, but he absolutely belongs in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And
the one guy, hold on, real quick. The one guy I was a little surprised about was Kevin Lowe.
Yeah.
If you're looking statistically, he played a lot. He wasn't really much of a point getter. 431 in his career. That plus minus though was a plus 260 for his career. So
yeah, shutdown defenseman. Yeah.
So probably the reason he got in is being a 6-time Stanley Cup champ.
I
Would be
mean,
the reason I could think of.
well, that could be a reason too, but I think it may also have been because of the shutdown side of his game. You know, like sometimes giving award to the guys who do the other things, not necessarily the flashy stuff. You got to have
Yeah.
those guys too on your team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very familiar with Kevin Lowe. I caught him at the very end of his career. Same with Doug Wilson.
Gotcha. Okay, then. And we have Ken Holland getting elected on the Builders category. And the final one is Kim St. Pierre, who is Canadian women's national team goaltender. Big for her. Not the first woman to go in, but the first female goaltender, like Rob was saying off mic. And you have some quotes from her, right, Rob?
Yeah, it was great. I caught a random interview on NHL Network on Sirius XM, and being the 8th woman and the first female goaltender inducted, they asked her this question: what made her want to play goalie? And for her first response was, because it's fun. Like already we know you got the goaltender mindset immediately with that answer. She went on to say that she grew up playing hockey with her 2 brothers. She played boys hockey all the way up to 18 years old and played it very competitively well. But when she was playing with her brothers, somebody needed to play goalie, so that's when she picked it up, and it's stuck ever since. And her role model ever since a young tyke was Patrick Waugh. So, right there, those 3 right there resulted in a great career. 3 gold medals for Canadians national team, and definitely a really cool person. It's a good interview.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to her, and congratulations to all of the Hall of Famers, for everyone who made history in their own right or made history by being a champion. Congratulations, being where you belong.
Anybody get snubbed in your opinion?
Players that are surprisingly not in the Hall of Fame to me. Jeremy Roenick is not in, which is stunning. I thought he was. He is not, so that's one. Tom Barrasso's not in. That shocked me. Another guy I thought should be in by now, but there are a few others. I think
I know one. I got one off the top of my head.
I think McGillney's not in either. I think he was one of the snubs, and I think that's surprising that he's not in either, because McGillney was great. I thought he was.
You guys were talking Elias before. I thought that might have came up earlier. That
no, he wasn't. He wasn't a part of the class or the induction class this year.
Yeah, he was. He was a nominee.
He was a nominee? I didn't see him on that list. Was he? I didn't think he was retired long enough yet.
Oh, I know. I mean, I could be wrong.
The one guy I thought that got snubbed was Theo Fleury. I mean, I know he had some issues on and off the ice, but the stats are there. He was a very good player. He was a great player. He's another one. I believe he went without winning a – no, it's a lie. He won 1 cup his rookie year in 1989. I figured he would have been one of the guys on this draft class, but you kind of looking at the ballot, my guesses were going to be Iginla, Hossa, which obviously wound up being right. But I only thought there was going to be one other player, and I thought it was going to be Cujo.
Yeah, that could have been a good one.
Yeah. Cujo, who unfortunately never won a cup himself, but you talk about a guy who, if he had been on the Red Wings originally, he would have had cups. And that's the sad part. Not at the end of his career, but for the prime of his career. But with that, Prism 2A saying, what percentage chance do you guys give McGillney to get in? I mean, I think this was his best chance, unfortunately, because he was brought up heavily. I mean, I would say at this point, 40% chance. Like he's below the 50% mark for me, only because I think people, they overlook him. I think they'll continue to overlook him. Not because he doesn't deserve it. It's just because players get overlooked a lot when there's a lot of other players to choose from.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Rob?
he was such a dynamic player, and I would think that he would get in. I don't know how long he's been on the ballot, but I think he'll get in. I'll give him a 75% chance. The same that I'm giving to my snub was Daniel Alfredson. I really thought that he would have been in there. I mean, I thought he was a slam dunk like Iginla to be the first, current incarnation of the Senators member to be enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I mean, Alfie had over 1,100 points 444 goals in their career. He played his final season, all but his final season in Ottawa. He played with the Red Wings trying to chase after that cup, but that might be an example of that same scenario we talked before, where cups get you in, and lack of cups maybe don't. But I thought he was a snub. My dark horse, I know I saw Brendamore was on the ballot too, but I was like, he had almost just as many points as actually he had more points than Alfredson. He had 1184 with 452 goals. So he might stand a shot to get in there eventually.
Yeah, he had a solid career. Like, there's no doubt about that. Like, listen, you can make a case for every single one of those guys on the ballot.
Yeah,
every one of
sure.
those guys is definitely well deserving. But as far as Iginla goes, I just brought his stats up for his career. 990 games played, 473 goals, 559 assists. It was a plus 81. He put up solid numbers, but I wouldn't necessarily call those Hall of Fame numbers. But then again, there's guys with less that are in right now. Guys like Paul Correa, who I love. Guys know that. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so. And I know we go about this all the time, and I you guys rip on me for it. I don't think Eric Lindros belongs in the Hall of Fame.
We've had that. We've had those arguments.
There's guys in the Hall of Fame that probably shouldn't be there.
Right.
But that doesn't mean Alexander, like, McGillney's had a very respectable career. He definitely deserves to be in the talk, but do I think he deserves to be there personally? No. He hasn't really done anything to really stick out.
With that, though, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, congratulations to all the Hall of Famers. You guys to belong there. Enjoy it. Deserve it. Have your night and have your day in the sun. You guys earned it. And with that, we will close this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We thank you all for joining us for another thrill ride here on A2DRadio.com. We will be back next week, and next week we'll talk about the draft lottery and see how everything shook out and see what this means for the teams that will be picking and who we think they'll most likely select at those positions.
You basically just stole my idea. Mock draft.
Oh, what, a mock draft of... Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so basically that's what we're going to be doing next week, mock drafting it, taking a look and see what exactly will those NHL teams be selecting, who will get the oh-so-tantalizing prize of the number one overall pick. Usually it's a foregone conclusion. Sometimes there's a surprise in there. So we'll find out on Friday what will happen there. But until then, folks, we thank you for joining us once again, as always. And we were brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, but we were also brought to you by Ambuck Services. With the lockout sort of kind of coming to a close, the curve being flattened a little bit, it's okay to do a little bit of stuff as long as you're safe, but having a few guests over never hurt nobody. As long as you guys are all nice and healthy, why not? You're not out with 100,000 people. So why not let Ambuck Services make your lawn look pretty? All you got to do is mow it. They'll trim the trees. They'll trim the bushes. Thank you, Prism. We'll see you next week, brother. And they'll also clean your gutters. Make everything awesome. Make it look perfect and make your neighbors and your friends envious. That's why you have them over. Make them envious. Make them want the lawn you have. Ambuck Services will do that for you. 856-879-5530. That's how you get in contact with them. Ambuck Services. And they'll take care of that for you. We thank you all for joining us, folks. I'm Master Suni, Rob the Broken One Povia over there. We know that some people found Gritty last week, but this week, will you find him next week? And for the Dark Wing, Brian Daly, right down there. We thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week right here on A2DRadio.com for our mock draft with the reaction to the draft lottery. Peace, everyone. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Good night.